everybody. Welcome to Run and Code, humor in South Texas law enforcement, where we find the funny in modern law enforcement. I'm your host, T-Bone. With me, as always, is my partner, J-Man. J-Man, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Well, J-Man, what are we going to talk about today?
Supervisors.
Oh, shit, the boss.
This one's for you.
All right. In every career field, it doesn't matter law enforcement, it doesn't matter. You always have a boss. Mm-hmm. Some are good, some are bad. Some you want to hang from a tree and run over with your car, and others you would take a bullet for. And in law enforcement, we run into all of them, every category. You have the ones that would shield their own mother for a nickel just to get ahead, and they don't care about their people. And you have others that, to the detriment of their own career, they take care of their people so much that they get in trouble by the bosses because they didn't handle it the way that chief, who would have done it that way 20 years prior, doesn't do it anymore. Now he's a political creature. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree with that.
So it's one of those things that we have a job to do, and sometimes you need a supervisor to make your location. Hey, this is what happened. I used force, or this one's a little above my pay grade, especially when you're dealing with a politically sensitive situation that you might come across as an officer. And that's happened before, where you happen to pull over a city councilman's kid. You're definitely going to want to get a supervisor out there if it goes bad, because that one's going to make it to the chief's desk in about 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
And the mark of a true supervisor is he going to have your back because you did the right thing, or is he going to bow to the pressure from the city council to the chief all the way down to the captain, lieutenant, to the sergeant, to you? And you're going to catch the entire shitload on your forehead because you just happen to have the bad luck to stop a city councilman's son who's drunk, or he's in possession of narcotics, or he's doing something really stupid. You have no choice but to address it. It's not ticket level, it's arrest level.
Mm-hmm.
I've had great supervisors, men and women, that I would absolutely trust with everything I got, but with a little reserved in there just because they're still supervisors.
Yeah.
And I've had supervisors that, Christ, you hear them out in the field and you're like, oh shit. They're what we used to call in the military, they're dangerously close to a work situation. You know what, Sarge? Just stay behind your desk at the sub. We got it. We'll take care of it. Anytime you use force, you're supposed to have a supervisor make a location.
Yeah.
Because he's got to look at the subject, verify the injuries that you're telling him happen. He's going to talk to the subject usually, like, hey man, where are you injured? By this time we should have already got him medically cleared, taken care of. EMS has already come and gone. He's fine. He's got a few boo-boos and that's it. And now he's just bitching because he got hands put on him. And their job is there to make sure that to cover you and cover the agency, and then make sure he's okay. That way nothing comes up later like, oh, he broke his jaw. And supervisor, did you make the scene? Well, no, I didn't make the scene. And I know the officer, he's good. Oops, wrong answer.
Yeah.
So obviously in the age of cameras, that has gotten a little easier for supervisors because they can just run your footage and go, he did not kick him in the teeth like this guy's saying. We just watched the footage.
Right.
But it behooves a good supervisor to make that location to do his part or her part. Great supervisors will show up. What happened? Oh, I did XYZ. He did XYZ. I did XYZ. Got him into custody, got EMS, blah, blah, blah. Didn't use a taser. I got him subdued with the minimal amount of force to get him in the Tahoe. And they'll go up and talk to the subject and go, okay, it's good. Write the report, write the use of force, send it all up to me, and I'll take care of it. But then you get those out-of-touch supervisors that have not been on the streets in so damn long that they have forgotten what it's like to have to fight somebody. Mm-hmm. And they've been brainwashed by all this modern de-escalation and make that your last resort. And I agree. Putting your hands on somebody should be your last resort. Obviously, if you can talk them into handcuffs, great. I mean, that's just less stress for everybody. You're going to jail, don't make it worse. You're already going. Like, you can go without boo-boos, or you can go with boo-boos, but you're still going to the same building and possibly added charges. But you get these supervisors that, oh, you should have done XYZ, you should have done this, you should have done that. Well, you weren't here, Sarge, so why don't you come out next time and give me the benefit of your 25 years of experience and knowledge, but you haven't been on the street in 15 years. And that usually results in a reprimand for insubordination. But I've had this conversation with him. I'm like, you haven't been on the streets in 15 years. Your fat ass can only find the donut shop. That's all you do. You leave your desk to go find the donut shop and you come back and you get mad every time I got to come out. When we're doing proactive policing, this is what happens when you're being proactive. You end up putting your hands on people. Yeah. Because you're doing your job. There's two kinds of officers, reactive and proactive. Mm-hmm. Reactive, never get in trouble. Proactive, always get in trouble because they're doing their job. They're actually out there hunting these people and looking for crime. They're not just sitting there in some cul-de-sac darked out, waiting for the either dispatch to give them something or they have something they see that they just absolutely cannot ignore. Then you got your proactive officers. Now, some supervisors love proactive officers. Go out and get into as much shit as you can. Go find meth, go find guns, go find dope, go find gangbangers, go do your job. Then you got the supervisors like, don't do anything. Go park. Don't create work for me. The sentence I hate the most out of any supervisor, and hell, even fellow officers, is you're working too hard. I hate that sentence. My whole job is to work hard. My whole job is to hunt for these pricks. So when you have a supervisor who constantly squashes that, and especially when these new guys come out and they come out of field training and they want to be proactive, they want to prove they belong there. So there's always that factor that I want to be here. I want to prove to you I belong here. Mm-hmm. But B, they join this job because they want to put people in jail. They want to help people. And you have supervisors that shit on that. Don't be that way. Don't create work. You're working too hard. Stop. Just take your calls. That sentence right there alone, I think, has destroyed a lot of the fabric of law enforcement. You're working too hard.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid. Now, yes, I'm getting paid the same whether I'm working really hard or I'm not working at all. But I have an expectation of myself. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go hunt for this shit in between taking calls. Now, if I get a call, obviously that's the priority. But if I stop a car and I know there's more going on in that car, and based on what I see, smell, or what they say, I'm not just going to ignore it, pretend it's not there because I got 30 minutes left of my shift. I stopped the car. Now I got to deal with it.
Yeah.
So if I don't want to do that, maybe I shouldn't stop cars.
Yeah.
Because you're going to run into shit. And this is what good supervisors are like, hey, man, do your job. It's fine. And then you got the supervisors that get mad at you because you're doing traffic stops towards the end of shift. Okay, crime doesn't stop between shift change. And some criminals know shift change hours.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they know when everybody's heading to the sub and does not want to be bothered. Mm-hmm. And if listeners out there that aren't cops, if you think for a minute that criminals don't know our schedules, you are fooling yourself. They absolutely know our fucking schedules. They know where our substations are at. They know when you're coming out, when you're going in. They know when to act like a turd. Mm-hmm. So if your shift change is, let's say you work 2 to 10, they know that from 9 to about 10, they're not going to get messed with. They're not going to get stopped unless they do something just absolutely outrageous.
Yeah.
Because that officer just wants to go home.
Yep.
And the ones coming out won't be out for until about 10 something, 10:15, 10:30. So they got a good hour and a half to act like a tool. I was the bane of their existence because I made damn sure, like, oh, that guy's shady, and I'm going to stop him. Even though I'm on the way to the sub, I'm going to stop him. I might get a DWI. It's going to be as little as that, which is not piddly. Because I could kill somebody. Yeah. I may get drugs. I may get guns. I may get someone on the way to commit a crime, on the way back from committing a crime, or they have some simple warrants. And they figured that was their safest time to go over to the Sanchez house. And they got stopped because they have their tail lights out or tag lights out. And well, now you got a warrant. Now you're going to jail. Mm-hmm. I just ruined your night twice. Took you to jail and I deprived you. That's going to just make you mean. So it's one of those things that a good supervisor can make an entire shift and a bad one can break an entire shift.
It sure can.
And we know the people that they're detectives and they're on the sergeant list, and you're looking at the list going, oh, Jesus, dear God, please never. Please send that one to internal affairs. He's so incompetent that you'll be fine if he's internal affairs because you'll never be founded on anything. And then you got the ones like, I would work for that one because I remember when he was a patrolman and I remember when he was a detective and he's a go-getter. He gets there, he gets it done. That's the one I want to be my sergeant. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, in today's culture, when you get these sergeants that are maybe they're not 20 yet, so they're really cautious because they don't want to get fired right before they hit their 20 and they can't retire.
Right.
And so they're so scared of they have to over control everything.
Yeah.
Don't go here. They get on the radio. Hey, tell that unit to fuck off and let me work. I will call you when I need you. That's when I will call you. Yeah. So tell me about some of your experiences because we've all had them. You're a cop. I'm a cop. Every cop out here has a supervisor they just love or hate.
For the most part, I think I've had, I want to say, like decent supervisors. I feel like you're always going to have your average like sergeant, corporal, lieutenant, captain, whoever. And then you always have the top tier, like 1%, like, man, you could tell that guy did not lose, the common sense as, they ranked up because I just think that's what happens. I think the higher you promote, for some strange reason, your common sense has to deplete. If a common sense was at 10, then, okay, now you got some butter bars. Okay, now your common sense is at 4. And I don't know why. I've never understood it. I've literally had a supervisor, like you said, just tell me doesn't want anything done. That 9 o'clock traffic stop when the shift is over at 10 o'clock. Well, what are you doing that for?
Oh yeah, they get mad.
They're like, well, hey, this person drove past me with no headlights. I'm pretty sure that's something I should address, right? It's 9 p.m. The sun has already gone down. We should probably stop that person, if not to write them a ticket, but to say, hey, are you aware that your lights are off?
Yeah. Aren't we in public safety first?
Yeah. I don't understand. And I've had the one time where I had a great supervisor. Hey, no matter what you do, no matter how late it is, you need to make sure it's right. If you're right, I'm right behind you 100%. If you're wrong, well, I'm gonna still be behind you, but I'm gonna be behind you because you screwed up. And how bad do we have to correct you? That's literally what it is. There's no, I want to say, well, now you're going to make me look bad because you did something stupid. So now I got to burn you back. There's no vindictiveness because those are like the ones that are scared. They're so scared that they believe that they have to be vindictive to punish you just to make you drive the point home, and also to all the troops, underneath them. But that's horrible too, because you will not get any respect that way. All you're going to do is just put out that fear that, they're not allowed to be human and make an error.
Yeah.
Because everybody's not going to go out there and make a huge error. But if you treat every minor error like a big one, then I don't know. That's not fostering a good work relationship or environment either.
No, you're going to kill their productivity.
Yeah.
They're not going to want to work for you because they have no motivation. But two, they're worried that they do their job and something goes wrong, and it happens because you're dealing with human beings.
Yeah.
That you're going to get burned to the stake by the supervisor, and who the hell wants to deal with that? So it kills an entire shift when you have someone like that. Mm-hmm. You come in, you're like, oh, damn it, it's so and so, son of a bitch. I'm not doing shit today, and it's not because I don't want to. It's because I know what's going to happen if I do.
Right.
A great example is patrolmen don't like doing DWIs for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
And because they just take hours to deal with. You're dealing with a drunk. You got to get the car towed. You got to write the report, get their blood or breath, whatever you're going to do. And supervisors look at it as like, you're getting 5-6 hours of overtime, and you have a car out in the field now that I need, and they don't like that. They get mad. What are you doing a DWI for? Well, do you want that car sharing the road with someone in your family? What if your daughter's out tonight coming home from work and this drunk, I didn't stop him and he plows into her? Mm-hmm. Then you'd be like, why didn't you stop him? We all know how that works. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. But if I take him off the street, no supervisor can say shit to me. I did my job. I dare you to go to the chief and tell him you want to write me up because I stopped a DWI. I'd like to know how that's going to work for you, because then I'm going to call MAD and tell him. And MAD has far more political pull than you do.
I don't know.
They'll just call the sheriff or the chief whenever and complain, and that's going to be the last time he's going to complain. But you probably just burned your bridge too. So it's what I've found with good supervisors. You make a mistake and you tell them. You don't try to hide it. Mm-hmm. Hey, Sarge, I fucked up. And I did that from the beginning because I wanted to maintain my integrity, my credibility. If I told a Sarge from the beginning, hey, I screwed this one up. This was my fault. I'll give you a great example. I was 2 weeks from being off field training. I'm like 2 weeks from being off probationary status. I totaled a Tahoe. Completely my fault. And I mean 100% my fault. And I didn't even try to get out of it. Mm-hmm. I totaled her car. I totaled my Tahoe. I was not paying attention. This comes a time paying attention to everything goes on around you. Of course, that's about the point where you think you got to figure it out as a rookie too. You're about 2 weeks off and I got this. Sarge, I called him. It was my fault outright. It was my fault. Nothing. She had the right of way. I didn't. And it was my fault. And both cars were totaled. You know what I heard about it? Nothing. I never heard a word about it. Yeah. They did the crash report. She sued for $3,000 the value of her Camry. It was like an old 98 Corolla or Camry or something. A really old car. She just sued for the damage of the car itself. That's it. She didn't sue for more. She didn't pain and suffering injury, nothing like that, because she wasn't injured. Thank God. She was a very nice lady. And she was a preacher's wife. Very nice lady. Mm-hmm. The sheriff's office paid it off. Problem solved.
Yeah.
But I never heard a word from Internal Affairs. I never heard a word from the crash board. A year and a half later, one of the captains tells me, oh, yeah, that was your fault, but oh, well. But if I'd lied.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that wasn't my fault. That was her. She did X, Y, Z. I've lost all the credibility I have with that supervisor and that whole supervisory chain. Yeah. Never going to trust me again. Another great example. Same sergeant. I went to a call. It was the same gal that constantly over and over this, and like for 3 weeks straight, been dealing with this gal. She's a brand new Karen, just moved in the neighborhood from California. I mean, just all the boxes you want to check. And she was calling for something stupid. and I finally lost my temper. Now, this is pre-camera. We didn't have cameras back then. This is pre-camera. This is back like 16, 17 time frame around there. And I finally lost my temper. I said, you can stop being a bitch and be a good neighbor, or you keep calling us and we're just going to get pissed off, start ignoring you. What I didn't know was she had her phone in her pocket recording the entire conversation.
Oh, yeah.
But whatever. Sarge calls me like an hour later. Come by the office. Okay. I'm like, all right, this can't be good if he's calling me just to the office. Usually you just call me on the phone. If he's calling me to the office, it's probably not positive. So I get over there. All right, Sarge, what's going on? He goes, did you call a woman a bitch earlier? I said, yes, sir. Yeah, she was being a bitch. And he goes, I'm glad you told me the truth because she recorded you and she played the recording for me. I never heard another word about it because I had told him the truth. And he even told the woman, you're being kind of a bit much. I'm pulling all the calls. You need to stop. Yes, he lost his temper and I'll deal with it, but stop. But if I'd have lied to him, not knowing that she recorded me, I didn't call her nothing. That's bullshit. I've lost every bit of credibility I got with that supervisor. He will never trust me again no matter what I tell him. Because of that, those two instances, he always believed me. Hey, Sarge, that's not what I did. That's not what happened. I never had to worry about him going, well, I'm not sure. He always, okay. Because I built that credibility and trust with him. Now, that's a good supervisor.
Yeah.
I'd earned that with him, and he was a good supervisor, and I hated to see him go. He moved up to another position as a sergeant, but in another division, and we missed him. We missed him sorely on patrol because he had a lot of common sense, took care of his people. Mm-hmm. But we've had other supervisors. It doesn't matter how many times you've proven yourself to them and that you have integrity, you're not lying. They still don't trust you. They still don't believe you. They still think you're lying to them for whatever reason it is. To me, that's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
Like, you're shady, so you assume everybody else is shady. That's just how I look at it. Trust has to start somewhere.
Yeah, sure.
You've got me out there in a Tahoe and a gun and a badge. I'm doing my job. Now, you either trust me to do it until I prove otherwise. And if I have not proved otherwise, leave me alone to do it. Let me work. I'm telling you, supervisors can make and break you. Mm-hmm. Now, my goal is to be one day a patrol sergeant. And I try to take the lessons I learned from all the good sergeants I worked with and try to make my own style. But I will always, have my men's back first. Always, always, always. Mm-hmm. Because they take care of me and I will take care of them. Okay? If they screw up, okay, they screw up. What's the level of the screw up? Did they tell me the truth about it? Are they constantly screwing up or is this a one-timer? This, like in law enforcement, the totality of the circumstances for the crime, well, it's the same thing when you have a troop. Yeah. Is he a constant screw up? Or is he a sergeant? I screwed up tonight. And this guy doesn't normally screw up and he owns it up front. Why would I burn him at the stake? Mm-hmm. Because I don't want to kill his productivity. He knows he screwed up. He knows what he did. If I treat him fairly, he's still going to work hard for me. And he's going to be honest with me every time because I didn't burn him at the stake for a mistake. Because we're humans, we make mistakes. You've had the chance to be a field supervisor.
Yeah.
You had guys work for you.
Yeah.
So when you were a field supervisor, what were your experiences with that? You were the boss that night, that week, whatever.
Well, a lot of the guys on underneath me, they know that as long as you do your job and you do it right, there will never be any static for me. And I fielded a couple of complaints before, and one officer in particular, he's always honest about what he said. It's like, and he's always looking back at things in hindsight and retrospect. So that I can at least appreciate. But they know this. But they also know that if there's an issue that I don't like, I will address it. And I will address it professionally. I draw that from good supervisors, good sergeants, corporals, lieutenants, that when they've had issues with me, they pulled me aside into the office and they chastise me there. And then when they do, they don't disrespect me or degrade me. I think that's another thing too. And I don't know if that's the paramilitary thing.
Probably.
But then again, it's just, it's really funny that somebody who hasn't been in the military, but they talk to you that way, and it's just kind of odd. But it's just a bunch of F-bombs and stuff like that. That part I don't do. There's one supervisor, I cannot take any of his criticism because he likes to do it in front of people, and I think it's a power play.
That's a power play.
And
he's showing you his dick was in the room before he got there, and he's going to prove it. And yeah, that's
he has to whip out that old dried saltine, Slim Jim, and flail it everywhere. But that doesn't do anything. No. It just makes you look like a dick. And it just makes me confirm everything that I've already thought about you. That part I do not. I don't know where that comes from. It seems like all the bad supervisors, because there seems to be more of them than good ones. They all get in some weird like evil villain boardroom. How do you fuck over the troops today? And then they do a little PowerPoint presentation, and they all do some stupid evil supervisor chant, and then they fuck off somewhere. Like I don't know. I don't get it.
Nothing scares me more than seeing several sergeants and lieutenants, captains go behind closed doors
because somebody's getting fucked.
I'm like, oh shit. Either it's one person or the whole shift's about to take it in the shorts. And you're just like, oh fuck me. Let's get the fuck out of here. So I was in the military. I was a supervisor in the military, and I always did scold in private, praise in public. If you do something wrong, we're going to handle this behind closed doors. Everybody knows you screwed up. But the corrective measure, not everyone needs to hear that.
Yeah. I'm
going to take it behind closed doors. There's no reason to degrade. There's no reason to yell. There's no reason to call names. He's a grown man or woman. There's no reason for that. Mm-hmm. Hey, man, look, you screwed up, and you know you screwed up, right?
Yeah.
Like, I have to address this. I have no choice. The concepts of military leadership transfer to law enforcement just fine. Supervisors are supervisors, regardless of what you do for a living. You could be a line cook and have a supervisor that's your boss. He can still treat you with respect. Mm-hmm. Being in law enforcement doesn't make it all of a sudden where it's okay to treat people like crap that work for you. The supervisors that do that, I think either they became a sergeant because they wanted power over people, or they got treated like crap the whole time they were, slick sleeves, that now this is their chance to get everybody back. Yeah. There's something fundamentally mentally wrong with that person. And then you got the great supervisors, the ones that they probably got treated like crap and they swore they would never treat their people like that. Mm-hmm. And my thought process is my job is to take care of my people first, then the mission.
Right.
Now, the military says mission first, people second. In combat, okay, that has its place.
Right.
But even there, if you don't take care of your people, the mission's not going to get taken care of.
Yeah.
If you don't make sure your troops are equipped, trained, and supported, they're not going to do the mission for you. Mm-hmm. Well, there's no difference in law enforcement. Yeah. If I don't equip you and I don't train you, great supervisors push training. We had a great lieutenant who would come into training. Who here wants to go to breacher school? Who here wants to go to pit school? Who here wants to go to interview school? Just random schools. He found them. Hey, it's not going to cost the county a thing. I'll approve your training time and we'll get your hotel paid for. Who wants to go? Hell yeah. That's a great supervisor. That is a leader. Not just a supervisor, that's a leader. Because he knew that just because you graduate the academy doesn't mean your learning curve stops now. I know everything there is to know.
Yeah.
He was a former Marine. So I think that had a lot to do with it because all the best supervisors, all the best lieutenants in my agency are all former Marines. Every one of them. One was Navy, but I don't hold that personal. But they take care of their people. Train. You have the flip coin of that. The flip side. You got supervisors. You don't need to go training. You want to go, you take leave and pay for it yourself.
I've experienced that more than the other side.
And so have I am fortunate enough in the unit I'm in traffic, which for those that remember, I'm a traffic officer. I have a great supervisor. He's all about training. What train do you want to go to? We have in the budget. We got this much in the budget because it does boil down to budget. If your agency is going to pay for it, hotels, per diem, the cost of the training, approval to the chain of command, because the sergeant alone cannot approve your training. It's got to go all the way up to the chain because it's going to cost money.
Yeah.
So if it's a local training that's not going to cost any money or hotels or anything, then yeah, they can approve it at that level and they just give you the training time. Have a nice day. Yeah. I mean, it's going to cost your agency money. You've got to run it up the chain.
Yeah.
When they push training like that, it makes better officers.
It does.
And then they take that experience and they teach other people. Just because you don't have them going through a formal training doesn't mean you can't pass that knowledge on. Mm-hmm. People, and a lot of supervisors in particular, knowledge is power. I'm going to hoard the knowledge and I'm going to dribble it out to you instead of telling you, this is what I know.
Yeah.
Military, you learn the job of the man above you. You teach your job to the man below you.
Yep.
There's always continuity. Mm-hmm. We've kind of lost that in law enforcement.
Yeah.
It's, I got the knowledge and you don't, so haha.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to prop anybody else up anymore. It's always about me first, me. And it drives me nuts. Mm-hmm. I've gone to so many schools and the knowledge wasn't out there. I actually put together lesson plans for our academy to train the cadets Why not? Give them this information. It's not hidden. It's not a secret. They need to know this. You got these academies that want to do the bare bones minimum, whatever, you state requirements. Like Texas raised theirs, I think like 770 hours or something like that.
Yeah, it's higher.
And it needed to be.
Yeah.
But there's still stuff they're leaving out. And that's mainly because it's a time crunch.
Yeah.
You only got so much time. You can't do a police academy that lasts a year. Let's just be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
The average police academy is anywhere from 4 to 7 months.
Yeah.
That's your average.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain state requirements. Good supervisors are going to say, hey, if we got a spare day in here somewhere, let's learn this. Instead of, we're just going to have a fun day or a morale day or we're going to go run all day long. Well, why not learn something else?
Yeah.
Great supervisors are going to push that. Crappy supervisors are going to run from that because it's work.
Yeah.
So I put together lesson plans for things that they weren't even teaching, and it has paid off in dividends. Those people I taught at the academy, I've taught 3 classes from some of the lesson plans I've taught or I designed and developed and got approved by the state. They call me all the time, man, I got a great felony bust off that. Well, great.
It's good.
Thank you. You did your job. You learned something and you applied it. Just learn how to explain that in court, where you got that from. So all I want in a perfect world, in a perfect world, one, we get paid, like $75 an hour minimum. That'd be a perfect world. Great benefits, very low copays.
Yeah, there you go.
A fantastic leave policy is supervisors that will back you up, let you work, and when it goes south and it was no fault of your own, they will have your back all the way right to the chiefs or the sheriff or whoever you work for and say, he did nothing wrong. I know it looks bad, but he did nothing wrong. Anybody who's a cop can tell you all force looks bad.
It does, because it's ugly.
Because you're putting hands on somebody that does not want to go to jail or they don't want to comply. If you can write it up and you have a supervisor that won't have your back and go, he did nothing wrong. Yeah, it looked bad, but it can be explained.
Mm-hmm.
Problem now with the modern law enforcement administrators and supervisors is they are so scared of the media to stand there in front of the camera and tell them, my officer did nothing wrong. You don't like it? Tough shit. There's a few sheriffs in this country that do that. Mm-hmm. That will absolutely, Sheriff Grady Judd, I love that man because he'll absolutely tell the media, this is what happened. I don't care if you don't like it. This is what happened. That suspect made the choice. My officers did their job.
Yep.
He's actually more popular because he does that.
Yeah, he really is.
Now, maybe it's because he's in Florida.
That is also true.
If California, it might not be the same response.
I mean, it could, but he's not going to be there very long.
Yeah, he'll get one term. He'll be a one-term sheriff. Like, you know what? We appreciate your service. You're free to go. And then you got Sheriff Clark up north, or Sheriff Lamb out in Arizona, or Sheriff Arpaio when he was sheriff. He was great. He would tell the media, you know what? It ain't your business. The media would be demanding to know the name of the officer. No, it's not your business. You don't need to know. It's nothing to do with you. This is what happened. You don't like it? Piss off.
Mm-hmm.
And he got a lot of hate for that, but his officers loved him.
Yeah.
Because he would not just from the hip, you're fired because it looked bad. And then later you arbitrate, get your job back because the arbitration board gets the entire facts.
They do. And
then, oh yeah, he did nothing wrong. Rehire him and give him back his back pay and give him back his seniority and give him back. And now that sheriff or chief wants your ass because you won.
Yeah. And now this is just a big old bullseye.
Yeah.
Now every crappy supervisor is going to be after you. It's not just one. It could be the whole force and strength of the department. That could be from one lone supervisor at a small department to about 200 at a major department, at a big department. So, yeah.
They want your ass now.
Yep.
The word has gotten out. Now, They will never officially acknowledge this, and they will never officially say it. I'll give you a great example of that in my agency. There's a gentleman who did his job, did nothing wrong. He got bad information from an informant that he'd used many, 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 many times. Developed a search warrant based off the information from that informant. Turned out the informant had lied. They accused that officer of lying on the search warrant. Mm-hmm. So they shit canned him. You're done. Bye. Of course, 10 months later, he gets his job back and his seniority and all his time. And now he's blackballed from every assignment he tries to go to because he did nothing wrong. And they didn't like that.
Yeah.
That's not a unique story to any agency.
Oh, yeah. No, not at all.
It's a power trip. It's a power play, especially when the chiefs or the sheriff don't get their way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sad thing. And it does kill the morale. And all the line officers watch that and say, well, I don't want to be like, I'm just going to try to stay under the radar, do as little as possible because I'm getting paid the same whether I'm doing 100 or doing 0. I'm getting paid.
Yep.
So why should I put myself out there? And you can watch the steadily declining productivity.
And I've heard that so many times. Why do you work so hard? And you may not hear that from a supervisor, but you know that's coming from directly at the top, because if no one addresses up there, then it just fosters at the bottom.
Well, you hear it from fellow officers on shift.
Yeah.
Guys that probably got burned at one point, and over the years, they just gave up. I'm going to do my job. I'll take my bearer call, and they tell you, man, you're working too hard. Why you work so hard? Because I believe in it. I mean, yeah, I may have only been doing this a decade, but I do believe in what we're doing, and somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I chose this job. Yeah, I wasn't fully aware of how hard it was going to be until you actually do it. It's still theoretical.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean that when I get out there, all of a sudden my oath doesn't mean anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We have 4 responsibilities as law enforcement officers: preserve life, protect property, enforce the law, and arrest offenders. Those are our 4 responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. You cannot bury your head in the sand because the supervisor is going to be mad at you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you got to look yourself in the mirror. Did I do the right thing today? Did I do everything I could? You do that, and at least you can sleep at night with yourself. If that supervisor wants to be mean, bitter, and nasty, that's his problem.
Yeah.
I'm not going to join him in that. I'm going to do my job because, one, I developed a reputation in this agency. People know me, and they know my work product. I get called more than anyone else for questions, for answers, for help, because they know that I will always be there to help them. And I don't mind working hard.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes they drag me into shit I did not want to be involved in. I'm like, son of a bitch. But I get there and I'll give everything I got because I got to work with those guys on a day-to-day basis. We all know the slug.
Yeah.
Whether it's supervisor or fellow officer, we all know who the slug is that just like, oh, Christ, I don't want anything to do with what this guy does because, one, he fucks it up, or he tries to pawn off everything to somebody else.
Yep.
Like, he created the mess. He spilled the milk on the floor. You mop it up for me. Bullshit. You mop up your own mess. Those are the officers that give very little support. Nobody calls them. Nobody asks for help. Nobody goes to help them unless they absolutely have no choice. You get the officers that are proactive and always getting into shit, but they always back everybody up. People are still going to go help them, even though it's like, it's a shitstorm. What you started with a shitstorm. Great example is just traffic stop. 5 minutes later, 3 in custody. 1 car's blown up and on fire, and you're calling the sergeant like, it was just a traffic stop. Yeah, it went south. But everybody's coming to help you because ultimately you're going to take care of the problem. They'll help you. You do the report. You help them. They help you. You cleaned it up. You moved on with your life. Good supervisors will be okay with that. Mm-hmm. They'll come out. All right, what you got? This is what happened. XYZ. Okay, write it up and get them out of here. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Sarge. Problem solved. Bad supervisors, they show up, you're like, oh shit, here it comes. You know, and on camera, they'll start chewing your ass about having done XYZ. And you're like, Sarge, wait, fuck it, I'll just write the report. And you can read it and then go either, I feel like a giant jackass because I couldn't just hear his explanation on the spot, or nope, I still believe I was right no matter what.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be, the former, not the latter.
And usually it's going to be the former.
Yeah.
So, and that's, I wish I could say that was only in certain jobs, but that's probably a common denominator across the country.
Oh, no,
whether you're
sure.
a civilian, law enforcement, military, a fireman, it doesn't matter. You always got a boss, and there's good ones and bad ones. Honestly, just like the military, your 6 leaves do the majority of your work. Mm-hmm. The supervisor's there to get you the support, training, and help you need. Kick your butt when it's needed. Because even I've needed a few butt kickings a few times. You just get that, you just get a slump in a week. You're just like, I'm not doing shit. And that's not normally you. Good supervisor is going to come to you and ask, are you okay? Like, what's going on at home? Or is there something going on at home that's got this? Or you just say, Sarge, I'm just not feeling it this week.
Yeah.
Bad supervisors are going to jump down on you all of a sudden because the numbers went down and then they look bad. Mm-hmm. Instead of asking you what's going on, what's wrong. Well, Sarge, honestly, I don't trust you. You can't be blunt with them telling them that. Like, I don't trust you to have my back. You're a piece of shit, and I'm not going to get burned at the stake because I do something that makes you think you look bad instead of you being proactive sergeant that supports his people. Mm-hmm. So those are pretty much my thoughts on supervisors. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
In the interest of, maintaining, some goodwill out there for the good supervisors, no, I'm all good. Just remember, this is for bad ones. And if you get offended by this, maybe you're a bad one.
Yeah, if you're the one that it feels like you took this personal, then you're the problem. If you're the good supervisor, and good supervisors know who they are. Mm-hmm. They know. They're the first ones that everyone comes to with a problem. They could have gone to that supervisor, and everybody avoids that supervisor like the plague. Nope, I ain't talking to that guy or gal. I'm talking to this sergeant. Hey, sergeant, I got a problem, because that's the one that's going to help you and do his best to solve your problem, help you solve your problem. That's the ones. And the lesson I learned a long time ago is never let my boss be surprised.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, they do not like that. No. If you fucked up, you go to them first. Hey, Sarge, this is coming your way. It's like a freight train down the tracks, but I'm at least giving you a chance to get off the tracks. Mm-hmm. And they can backstop a lot of that crap before it lands on your head. They'll call the chief first and go, hold on, chief. I know about it. I'm dealing with it. I got it. And 9 times out of 10, the chief's okay with that.
Yeah.
But the chief calls and goes, Sarge, what the hell did your guy do? What are you talking about? Now you've embarrassed your sergeant because now he doesn't look like he's involved with his people. And now it embarrasses you because you're hiding something. Why?
Yeah.
So I always into my bosses, hey, you're about to get a complaint and it ain't going to be a good one. And I was wrong. Or I wasn't wrong, but you're going to get a complaint and here's why.
Yeah.
And those are the ones, they already watch your footage. They're waiting for that phone to ring and they're like, yeah, I watched the footage and you screwed up. My officer didn't. Backstops 90% of it. So, folks, we hope you enjoyed today's show. I think that's something we all had in common with supervisors, good and bad. Folks, fellow officers, brothers and sisters, this week, please stay safe out there. It's just getting worse out there with all the political turmoil going on in the world and people's thoughts towards law enforcement based 99% on misunderstanding. Just please watch your back, watch each other's backs, do your jobs. All you can do at the end of the day is do your jobs and watch each other's back. And that's all we want you to do. But just stay safe out there. J-Man, any final thoughts?
No. Mirror and echo the same things you just said. Everybody stay safe.
All right.
Once again, thanks, Sarge.
Yep. Thanks, Sarge. And we're out. Hey, if you like the show, check us out on Twitter or Instagram. Both are at T-Bone and J-Man. Like, follow, subscribe, send it out to your friends, send it out to your family. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach us there and we'll give you a shout out on the show.